All right, well, we're on day number 2 in the White Mountains here. The falls I recorded yesterday was on the way up, but still in the foothills of the White Mountains. I've come about 50 miles further north. I'm right near Lincoln, New Hampshire. This is the Harvard Brook, which flows off of the Kinsman Range eastbound towards the Pemigewasset River. And several falls along this brook, about a mile and a half up from the town of Lincoln, New Hampshire. There is some parking for this. It's got room for probably 25-30 cars. There's a lot of very popular falls right near here. This may be one of the lesser known ones. That's why I decided to record it. But the area around Franconia State Park, including the flume, get thousands of visitors on a busy day. Let's head up Harvard Brook here, and we'll take a look at that map before this hike is done. We'll plot our course. But this is pretty much an out and bike back hike, and the Georgiana Falls is just one of several along this brook. And Interstate 93 stands between us and the falls. Parking lot's on the east side of the interstate, and the falls are on the west side, but they have built 2 different tunnels underneath 93 to allow the foot traffic to approach this area. So no need to worry about crossing the interstate. It's easy to do with these tunnels. And 2 different tunnels you go through. They're about a quarter mile apart. Sure is green back here. We got hemlock, we got red spruce, all kinds of ground covers, including some wintergreen and partridge berry, even a little bit of shining club moss in places. And this Harvard Brook is just pretty. And some of these trails aren't always designed to get the best view of the natural features. This one looks like it's using an old logging road or an old woods road. So I've gone off the trail just a couple hundred feet to get a better look at this brook as I ascend towards Georgiana Falls. And this is just really nice. It's very clean. I'm sure there's some trout bobbing around in these pools. And just a real pristine mountain stream. Well, you don't have to get to Georgiana Falls to start seeing some real neat scenery. I just showed a few flumes and boulder jumbles. There's a huge bedrock ledge here. It looks like mostly pegmatite and granite here. There's some really big crystals in here. And all kinds of little waterfalls coming down this pretty big ledge here. So, don't be mistaken that this is the falls. It is not. According to my estimates on the GPS here, we still got another half a mile to go and another 400 feet of elevation gain. But for this Harvard Brook to drop 800 feet from the falls down to the starting point, it has to find its way through all these boulders and ledges. Boy, and when the sun hits this mica, you can clearly see it. These are some pretty large crystals in here, about the size of a dime. And some pink feldspar. The New Hampshire and the White Mountains are a hodgepodge of igneous rocks and metamorphic rocks. And I think we're seeing that on this bedrock ledge here itself. Well, after checking out those bedrock ledges and those mica and feldspar crystals, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that that was actually the ledge that forms Georgiana Falls. You know, the guidebook shows this as a 30-foot falls, and I'm going to disagree. I think the falls starts just about where we were and comes all the way up this ledge. To what is shown as the falls in all the photos that are used to illustrate Georgiana Falls. If you do a Google search or check the waterfall guides, this right here is shown as the falls. But the falls continues down, in my opinion, as a series of flumes. So plenty to see along this trail. You don't have to come all the way up, but it doesn't take that long to do so. It's never very difficult. By White Mountain standards, this is a pretty easy hike. Beautiful ledge here, but a lot to see down below there too. None of the maps I have, the USGS map, the Google Maps that I'm using on my phone, and the National Geographic Trail Guide show the falls at this location. They all show it further upstream. That's where I thought it would be, but it's not. So, I think what they're showing is Georgiana Falls is probably what's called Harvard Falls, which is supposed to be just above here. We'll go check that out in a few minutes, but another point of interest, there is no vegetation on this entire ledge for quite a distance, and there's indication that there's a high water stream just below me here. So if you come up here after heavy rain events or snow melt, you'd be in for a double treat. There'd be a waterfall on both sides of this ledge here. Maybe a little tricky during snow melt because of the remaining ice pack, but I'd say after a heavy rain event in the summer, you'd have to be careful because of the high water, but it would be twice as large with the second falls right here where it's just bare rock right now. But what a great hike. It doesn't take long to get up here. We'll go check out the Harvard Falls and then turn back. And it's fairly safe to scramble up the rocks around Georgiana Falls. The trail goes to the north side of Harvard Brook here through the woods with red blazes. And in my opinion, it's fairly safe to come out here and look at the top of the falls. It doesn't drop off precipitously, but it takes its time coming down this bedrock ledge. And from this ledge, you can get some nice views of the smaller peaks around here. And just, boy, what a pretty spot with these huge trees, a huge white pine there in the background. And this is just a very scenic area without the long distance hiking to get to it. As soon as you go underneath 93, the scenery starts. We'll just keep poking our way up this valley here as far as we can. Go check out the other falls. And let's call this the falls above the falls. I don't believe this is Harvard Falls. I haven't come that far. You got a beautiful pool here. Looks like it's deep enough to swim without touching bottom. And the Blaze Trail does continue up this mountainside. So this whole valley is amazing. Georgiana Falls is amazing enough, but this hike would be worth it without those falls. It's just a lot to see here. Look at all that power. This whole stream goes through this slot about 1.5 feet wide right here. And the red blazes do continue up all the way to Harvard Falls here. Pretty difficult to follow the stream itself. It's very bouldery and very steep. And what I had been following the stream earlier, I really didn't try up here. I don't think it would be easy to do or safe to do so. So I'm back on the trail, which is steep in places. Plenty of roots and trees to get a good footing. It's not slippery at this time of year at least. So we're getting a nice overlook here of Harvard Falls. The first overlook. And gentle it is not up here at Harvard Falls. This is quite steep. A slip here could lead to bad consequences. You definitely need to supervise children up here. Georgiana Falls is gentler, but just as pretty. This is definitely more raw and unrefined, but just as amazing. Just the drop in front of me here is probably 40 feet. And then it tumbles another 30, 40 feet. And just keeps making its way down the mountain here. We'll try to make one more stop at the top here. And shortly above the end of the official red trail, we can scramble our way through some trees and boulders here to a ledge that's at least halfway up the falls. Required a little bit of hand over foot climbing over some boulders and between them. With no ice and the ground not being real wet, this was pretty easy to do. I wouldn't try it during snow melt when there's still a lot of snowpack or ice, or when it's extremely wet. But you do get a great up-close view of the falls here. Especially interesting the way it just gurgles over that ledge. Oh, and this rock cap fern always seems to show up on these adventures. I often find it in places I'm exploring. And probably for good reason, because areas that are most scenic usually have boulders. And the rock cap fern grows on the boulders. Not because it likes growing on rocks, because the deer like eating it, and this is a good place for it to survive without getting munched on by the deer. I'm not sure about the moose, but there are moose in this area as well. So here we go. We're at the top of the ledge now. This is doable, but this is mountain goat hiking. Just take your time. Make sure the rocks are dry. Make sure there's no snowpack or ice. This is certainly doable. And well worth your effort to get to the top here. What an amazing place, this whole hike. And it's not a long distance up here. I've been up here 2 or 3 hours because of the amount of time I'm taking to try to record the beauty of this hike. And I would encourage folks to do the same. Allow some time. There's a lot to see for not a lot of distance. Interstate 93 is in the background there. That's about where we started the hike. We've come about 800 feet in elevation. We'll get out the map in just a second and plot our course, but you really don't need the map to find your way up here. But I'm going to go ahead and do that in just a second. Let's get on a flat rock and do that, and we'll wrap this up. And there are some flatter rocks at the very top of Harvard Falls here. But I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm going to have more time to look around, but it appears to be a few more sets of falls above here. Behind all those boulders, there's more bedrock. So there's a lot to see. It's only 1.2 miles to this falls according to the map. I didn't try to clock the distance myself. I probably could have. But plenty to see out here. And allow yourself a few hours to really explore. I've been using these maps. I've got quite a few of the New River Gorge, published by National Geographic. I've got some of the Western North Carolina mountains. I bought these for this trip. And these are great maps for seeing what's available in the entire area. And they're good for navigating, but they aren't real. They don't show every little detail that you need to know, so it's always good to have other maps available as well. Let's open this one up and plot our course. And these are available online. I ordered them on a Saturday. They showed up on a Monday through REI. So I'll give them a plug for great service. Showed up 2 days later. And National Geographic is the company behind this effort. So this shows the entire White Mountain National Forest. There's 2 maps in the set. This is the western half. And there's a front and a back to this map. So this is great for just seeing what all your choices are. And you know, I'll buy these several weeks before a planned trip, so I can just really get a feel for what's available in an entire area. And then I'll do more looking around online, and if I have any printed books of the area, I'll start reading those and really start deciding what my options are. And of course, Mother Nature always really decides what you're going to do each day. But I knew with the chance of showers today, and I just checked the forecast, it is still foggy up at 6,000 feet on top of Mount Washington today. So today was a good day to stay down low. And that's what I chose to do. We're at 1,600 feet at the top of this Georgiana Falls path. It starts just north of Lincoln, New Hampshire, right near exit 33 on a little side road called the Hanson Farm Road. And there's parking there. And they think it's 1.2 miles to the top here. I don't think it was much more than that, but a lot of scrambling to the top of Harvard Falls here. So it does take longer to get to the top of this falls, but to the main Georgiana Falls, you could do that in a half an hour if you didn't stop. So great place to do a half-day hike, and really there's a lot to see for not a lot of distance.